Chris Cornell died, the most virtuous voice of grunge. A central figure in the generation that transformed Seattle for half a decade into the epicenter of world attention and music consumption, the Soundgarden singer had come on stage hours before in Detroit. Soundgarden, Audioslave and Temple of the Dog voice Chris Cornell died on Wednesday night in Detroit at the age of 52. One of the rock's biggest vocalists of recent decades, the musician was a central figure of the generation that centered the attention of the world in Seattle in the early 1990s. Incredibly talented, incredibly young, he wrote about guitarist Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page, saying that his absence will also be incredibly felt. The news of his death was confirmed to the Associated Press by the agent of the singer and guitarist. Sudden and unexpected, it surprised friends and family, eliciting mixed reactions from various quarters of music, from rapper Chuck D to rockers Joe Perry and Billy Idol. In his statement, the musician's agent adds that the family will work closely with the medical research team to determine the cause of death. Relatives now ask for respect for their privacy, a Detroit police spokesman reporting that at the hotel where Cornell was found dead, they rescued a man, who identified only with the date of birth, the same as the musician, and with a preliminary indication of apparent suicide. This Thursday will be given more information on the case, the authorities promised. The American rock band formed in 1984 in Seattle, Washington, had taken the stage hours before in Detroit. The Soundgarden marked the chapter in the history of forged music in the Northwest USA in the late 1980s and early 1990s alongside bands like Nirvana, Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam. In the United States alone, the band sold more than 10 million albums. They were nominated for 9 Grammy Awards, having received 2 of them. "Ever since I learned to play drums at age 16, I was already out of school," said Chris and Mark Yarms. "Everybody loves our town." It would follow guitar, composition, various bands and a passion for the Beatles that came from childhood. Death of Chris Cornell investigated as possible suicide. The sudden death of Chris Cornell last night is being investigated as possible suicide by Detroit police. The family has already announced to the press that it will be close to the medical team responsible for the autopsy of the body of the Soundgarden singer and guitarist, and asks for privacy. Chris Cornell, 52, was found dead in his hotel room in Detroit hours after a Soundgarden concert in the North American city where they had played some of the band's classics as Black Hole Sun, Spoonman, and Blow Up the Outside World. Chris Cornell's death has already garnered a number of reactions from musicians on social networks, including Elton John, Bush frontman Gavin Rossdale, guitarist Jimmy Page, ex-Led Zeppelin, Jane's Addiction guitarist Dave Navarro, and even Hollywood actor Val Kilmer.